we're going to talk about Hoxton's pathway program to becoming an international financial planner.
We did it basically to give that full program where there isn't the pressures of going out and having to hunt for business like there is sometimes in the international space.
It's all about taking somebody from no experience all the way through to becoming a financial planner.
You can live internationally, you can go and travel with your job, you're your own boss to a certain extent. There's so many positives around it.
I think people need to understand that getting good mentors, getting good trainers is part of your package.
You're fully qualified, you understand how to prospect, you understand the business, you understand how to deal with clients, and it's a seamless switch from basically into being a financial planner.
I don't think actually people truly grasp the opportunity that is in front of them. Like, you need to be able to use these. Stop using this, use these, and take it in and action it. Now, if you're not doing a good job for your clients, what happens? Goes.
Today, we're going to talk about something really exciting, not just for us, but for the profession as a whole. We're going to talk about Hoxton's pathway program to becoming an international financial planner. It's a trainee route, and it's one of a kind, and I'm so glad to be a part of it. So today, we're going to explore it, understand a little bit more about it, so our listeners can decide whether or not it's the right pathway for them to becoming a financial planner. So, first off, Chris, if no one's heard of Hoxton before, some people listening to this episode probably haven't, give us a bit of an overview of who Hoxton are.
So Hoxton is a international focused financial advice business. However, we do have more of a domestic presence now. We've been acquiring some businesses in the UK recently. We started the business in 2018 with 5 of us. We're up to, I think, 250-ish at the moment, spread across 6 locations. We manage just over 2 billion of assets, and the sole purpose of our business has always been to provide good quality financial advice to people who need it.
Fantastic. Nice summary. Great stuff. How long have you been going for?
6 years so far. So yeah, we're just over 6 years. It'll be 7 in April of next year. So,
Great stuff. International then. Just give us a brief overview of the countries that we're in.
So we are in, obviously, Dubai, which is where we're currently sat. I suppose Dubai is not the country UAE is. We're also in the UK. We have offices in London now. We have offices in St Albans, and we've also got an office in Liverpool, which is just opening too soon. We have offices in the US, in New York, and in Austin, in Texas. We also have offices in Australia, offices in Cyprus, and also one that we've recently opened in India, which I'm super excited about too.
Fantastic. So we've got a pathway program, okay? It's all about taking somebody from no experience all the way through to becoming a financial planner. Jacob, just give us a brief overview. What is the pathway?
So the pathway is a structured program that we basically put in place to take people, as you said, from all different stages, but predominantly anybody that wants to start off in the industry or in the profession can start off right from day one, learning the intricacies of obviously financial planning, but going through a process that's structured with regular training sessions that basically brings them all the way through to being a financial planner, going out, giving advice, seeing clients. We did it basically to give that full program where there isn't the pressures of going out and having to hunt for business like there is sometimes in the international space. It was more to educate people along the way, so there wasn't a big divide when they do want to step out and start giving advice themselves, and it works.
So why the international space though? Why is that so important right now, and why should somebody really consider starting their financial planning career in the international space, Jake?
The 3 of us are living proof that people don't stay in one place forever, right? And what we've seen more and more is people start giving advice in the UK and their clients move internationally and they can't continue that relationship. And, you know, financial services, financial advice is a relationship-driven service. So internationally, we can now obviously give advice across multiple jurisdictions. Clients can stay with you if you're qualified in those jurisdictions. The opportunity is big, especially where we are sat today. I mean, you come over to the Middle East, you obviously come over because you want to better your life financially, and there isn't pension plans, there isn't structured savings, there isn't national insurance contributions. So everyone you kind of meet over here needs some sort of structured planning and assistance to help them go forward. So a big opportunity.
I think also it's about having as many options open to you at the start of your career as present as well. So we have people that operate in the international space, but they can just as easily give advice in the UK as well. So actually starting internationally opens up a lot more doors. Whereas if you become really focused on the UK to start off with, and you really start to build your client base there, then the likelihood is that you will normally focus just on the UK. Whereas if you start here and you're working across multiple jurisdictions, you find the one you like and then you go into it from there. So you keep your options broad to start off with, and then you focus on the areas that you want to from there.
And you can get a suntan in the meantime as well.
100%. You can get suntan, you can top up everything, it looks good.
Good. I'll tell you what as well, though, which is really attractive, is, look, I've been recruiting in the space of financial planning for over 16 years, right? Now, one of the things that used to happen when somebody went offshore was what it was known then, right? International now, that's what we like to say, is that they would build a client base out here. They build clients, but if they wanted to return back to the UK, they lose that client bank, right? And the levels of recurring income that they may well have generated.
I don't think there was a lot of recurring income, was there? It was pretty much all up front at those points.
Yeah. So worth us sort of mentioning here as well, we are a fee-based organisation here at Hoxton. So if somebody does come out into that international space and they start building up client relationships with expat clients, they can continue though to service those relationships if they decide to move from, let's say, Dubai over to the US, maybe.
Yeah.
Or if they want to go back to the UK. So it isn't this kind of idea of, right, if I go international, it's just make a load of money, make hay while the sun shines, is it?
100% not. I think that ultimately we've given people the opportunity, and I believe that we want to really one of the first to do this, to operate across multiple jurisdictions, but do it in a professional, compliant manner. No longer do the regulators, especially after COVID, expect you to be sat on a couch or sat around someone's table face to face giving you advice. The tools that we have now with the likes of Teams, with the likes of Zoom, we make you completely capable of being able to service clients everywhere. I mean, I've got clients personally in Australia. I've got clients here. I've got clients in Europe. I've got clients in the UK. And I've got clients in the US. I can base my day starting in the morning, working across the different time zones, speaking to different people, so that I'm not constrained just to that one place. It's a really exciting prospect, but obviously you have to be qualified in the different areas. You have to make sure that you do all the CPD in the relevant areas. You need to make sure that you stay. There's a real lack of people that have that breadth, I suppose, across all the different jurisdictions.
No, I love that. And also as well, like next week you're flying over to the States,
yeah,
right?
I'm over to the States, seeing clients in Houston, which is super cool. Then I'm going to the Cayman Islands. And then I'm going from the Cayman Islands to Las Vegas. It is for work, unfortunately, not for pleasure. Or I say unfortunately, I'm actually really looking forward to going over there. But yeah, I mean, look, you don't have to just sit in Dubai speaking to everyone on Teams. We encourage you to get on a plane and go and see these people because, again, as Jake said, it's a relationship-based industry or profession. Make sure I get that one right. And ultimately, it's about your relationships with your clients. And yes, we can build them off Teams. Yes, we can build them off Zoom. But how cool if you can spend a few weeks every year going over to the United States, going over to the UK, going over to Europe, and seeing your clients face to face as well.
Yeah, spot on. Chris, we had a bit of a discussion, and it's a hot topic at the moment, right? Is why financial planning?
Yeah.
So why financial planning as a career, right? And we've got 29,000 odd financial planners, average age 56. We're talking about the UK here, right? Huge amount of those are going to be retiring. It's the same as it is over in the US as well. I've been reading there's a huge amount of retiring advisors over in the US, right? There's this great big opportunity, 5 trillion being transferred intergenerationally over the next 30 years. Distinct lack of advisors, not enough young people coming in. It's a great career for young people. It's a great career for those changing from one career to the other. But why? Why financial planning?
Look, for me, financial planning boils down to doing good. Like, genuinely, you can make a huge impact on people's individual lives by giving good quality financial advice. You can help people retire early. You can help people spend more time with their family. You can help create families' legacies to leave to their kids. You can make sure that their grandkids are looked after. all of these things that, is just part of our job. There's very few professions that give back that way. So if you're a corporate lawyer, unfortunately, probably you may be doing some good, but it's going to, it's not on that one-to-one basis. Like being able to deal direct with the end consumer and see that difference taking place is huge. And, that's what I'm really, really passionate about. It's about doing the right thing and making sure that these people are in a better position now than when they first come to you. And you can do that through financial advice. So I think first off, we focus on that. It's not a hollow career. Like it's not something that you can't get passionate about because it's unethical. So if you take that and then you look at the opportunity, like you said, which is huge. The average age of an advisor in the UK is currently 57. The average age of a Hoxton financial advisor or financial planner is 37. To me, I look at it and I look across all the different professions, from doing good to the opportunity of older people more established in the business leaving, to the earnings potential as well. Like, wow. I mean, like, what a career to get into. What a career to start off with now. I suppose we'll come on to it in a bit of all the of all the possibilities that happen with it. But you can live internationally. You can go and travel with your job. You're your own boss to a certain extent. There's so many positives around it. I don't think actually people truly grasp the opportunity that is in front of them. And that's what gets me super excited. It's like we can provide this opportunity and help people get that. And that's what Hoxton is about. It's about providing opportunity for others.
Yeah.
And that's what gets us out of bed every day.
But on that as well, just to interject, it's not the same thing every single day. A lot of jobs out there and a lot of careers out there, you start off and it can be quite repetitive. It ever changing, and you can change it as much as you want. When things change in the industry or change in advice, you can learn a new industry, you can learn a new country. You can get qualified in a different jurisdiction, so you can evolve with it and really, really grow into new areas. And it's exciting.
Yeah.
It keeps you on your toes, keeps you going.
What I also like about financial planning and in the right firm, and I think Hoxton have absolutely nailed this, is that you could start without any experience, get trained up, and you are actually in control of how long it can take you. What I love about the overall pathway of Hoxton is you can start without any experience and you can spend your whole career here, even to the point where you exit the profession.
100%.
At a multiple of what your recurring income actually is. So you can walk away with a nice lump sum at the end of your career, but earn good money whilst you're in your career here. And that's a really, really super attractive thing.
Name to me a profession which enables you to do that enables you to earn amazing income all the way through, enables you to still contribute to your pensions. Most of the big companies now will also offer share schemes or long-term incentive plans for staff as well. And then be able to have a capital asset at the end that you can cash in and walk away with. I mean, I've genuinely given this some thought over the past few weeks since we've been talking about it. And I can't think of one. And especially being able to come into it employed as well, so not having to start self-employed. If you look at other industries, so let's say I want to be master of my own destiny, and I want to go and start a business. There aren't many businesses that you can start off with hardly any capital to inject into that business. Yeah, so I want to go and open a Domino's pizza franchise. I've got to probably come up with the best part of £500,000 to do that, and it's not guaranteed to work. To make or to be a financial advisor and to make it work, you've just got to work really hard and make sure that you listen to what the people around you are saying, or that the knowledge that's there, and you will succeed. Like it's in your hands, it's in your destiny.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest barriers to entry the financial planning profession has had, is why we're seeing a distinct lack of new people coming in, is just someone standing up and talking about what the profession is about. And that's what I'm trying to fix with the Financial Planner Life, right? Is I'm trying to get this into as many ears as I possibly can. We need to get it into those universities and say, look, yes, I know private, becoming an investment banker sounds like a really attractive thing to do, being a solicitor, being an accountant, but have you actually heard of financial planning? Have you heard of what the career actually looks like? And they haven't. So that's a hugely important thing for me. But Other areas where I think financial planning companies have really let themselves down, and this is probably to do also with the size of companies and again the aging advisor, they're not so interested at the moment in investing time and energy into the next generation of planner coming through. Therefore, there haven't been very clear career frameworks, career structures. And what I love about you guys, because we're a young company here at Hoxton, we understand the value of taking somebody through a pathway that is well thought out, that's been a well-trodden path, that we can continue to improve year on year as delegates go through it. And to me, it is super important that a financial planning company has a clear career framework, because if you can sit down with somebody when we go through the assessment, which isn't easy, by the way, you have to be a certain somebody to come on our pathway. Okay, we're not taking absolutely everybody on because we've only got to select through options for people, right? But we can sit down with you at that interview stage and actually map out your whole journey, not only on the trainee side but all the way through your career. And we've got evidence to back it up. And as you just continue listening to this episode, we will talk about what the earning potential is within, say, those first 6 years. And you'll just see exactly how quickly that can ramp up. And we'll explain how you can actually control that. And that's exciting. That's exciting to me because no one's doing it well, and they're certainly not doing it on an employed basis. Okay? And that's one of the big selling points. So let's just talk about it. What makes our, Jacob, you answer this one. What makes our pathway, our academy, if you like, what makes our pathway programs becoming an international financial planner different and attractive?
I think, Chris and I both sitting here have known each other a long time, and we came through a pathway or a program of sorts, which was good, and we both have succeeded off the back of it. I think that internationally, typically, there wasn't as much structure, and what we've really focused on is the structure. So you can kind of see what you're coming onto before you come onto it, so you know what the pathway and the program is going to look like. We model it out we have 2 training sessions every single week, and they can be everything from helping you learn how to around your mindset in the international space, but also, looking at fact finding, looking at prospecting. We have that modeled out now for pretty much the first 5 years of your career. So you know where you're going to be at each stage. Obviously, people move at different pace. Some people come in and you say, okay, maybe 2 to 3 years. Well, they move quickly because they can work through those sections quicker. They can upskill quicker. They can get their examinations quicker. But we basically mentor you from day one. So from day one, depending at which stage you're in, you're mentored by someone that has succeeded in that role. We provide you the guidance. We provide you the structure. We make you accountable, because really, one of the biggest things I see internationally is accountability. A lot of people just get left to their own devices, and we all need accountability. I need accountability. Chris gives it to me on a regular basis. So it's giving you the structure, the program, the training, and the accountability to succeed. All you've got to do then really is work hard, listen, and follow the process. If you pass the interview stage to get on there and you put in everything you can with our program, it's down to us to make you succeed. You're giving us the tools and we will help you succeed. But it's that structure and accountability really, Sam, that's the key to it.
I think you really highlighted as well, Jake, the key traits of what we actually look for as well, didn't you? Kind of like discipline. That's super important. It's no good coming in as a trainee and being great for 1 week and then not turning up for the next couple. Self-belief. You have to believe in yourself that you can do it. Not everyone can, but normally I find that the people that actually think, I've got this in me, I've got this in the locker, I can do it. The listening part is, it's also, there's self-belief and then there's being arrogant as well. And we've all seen our fair few of them. It's like actually the most successful person that we've had on the pathway scheme so far is a guy called Ravi. He is disciplined, he is hardworking, and he has self-belief. But most importantly, he listens. He takes in everything that is said. If we said, Ravi, run through that window, you would do even better, I'm pretty sure he would seriously consider it. Obviously, we want people to think for themselves as well. But at the start of any career, you need to be moulded by people that have been there and made the mistakes that you have. It's difficult because when you start out, and all of us have been teenagers, all of us have been in our young 20s. No one can tell you anything. And I feel like when you start your career, and especially the age group of people that we're focusing on as well, they know the magic sauce. They know what it takes. But do you really know what it takes? Do you know as much? Do you know as well as Jake, who's been doing this for over a decade and seen people who do really well and seen people who don't do so well? Do you really know as well as Tom Goldie, who's been doing this for a long time as well now? Super interesting. So and that listening thing is something that's massively under-egged.
One of the things you said there, which really stands out for me, is accountability. Okay, I've ran my own business for 15 years. I'm now come over to Hoxton and I'm part of the team, right? Being able to be accountable for somebody that's going to sit down with me every week to run over what I've been doing that week, pull it apart. Where can I do things better? Now, for me, I have to remain teachable. Yeah. I have to listen and I have to be open to feedback and remain teachable. One of the most amazing, I said it last night to Charlie at dinner, right? So I've come across to Hoxton. I'm employed by Hoxton, right? I get paid a salary. I'm being paid to be part of Hoxton to add a service. Part of my salary and what I consider my benefits is that I get coached and mentored by you guys. Like, that's ridiculously expensive. If I went out and said I want to get coached and mentored by a business owner, right, that's got 2 billion under management, an international leader of people within a business like Jacob, that would cost me a fortune. An absolute fortune. And I think people need to understand that getting good mentors, getting good trainers is part of your package, because those individuals that have gone on that pathway, and I always say it, through the jungle with the machete and carve that path out, you follow those people, you listen to those people, and you remain teachable. Put your arrogance and ego to one side and listen.
I think a key thing there, Sam, you just absolutely nailed it really, is that we talked about age earlier. Not everyone in the business, but the core of our business is young. And I do a lot of interviews and I speak to a lot of people and they always ask me, why Hoxton, why this? We're not just young and stood at the front of the room telling people what to do. I still manage clients. I'm still looking after people. I'm still doing what they are doing on a day-to-day basis. Tom Goldie, who we mentioned, who basically sits, works with the pathway and manages the pathway and makes them accountable. Tom is one of our most successful advisors and probably one of the most successful advisors in the industry. He's still advising. So when things change in the profession and things adapt, we're doing the same things. So we are helping people to, overcome barriers. We're helping people with the process, which works really well.
Fantastic. So a few things we've nailed here already, right, that stand out for me up against generally the academies or the trainee routes that are out there, right? It's an employed option. That's one big hitter, right? Training, development, mentorship, that's absolutely huge. Being able to deliver advice on an international basis, massive. Tech as well. We haven't touched on that, but we're a very tech-focused company. We've got our own app, which is fantastic. A really great USP to working with clients.
Huge.
But one of the big things here, right, is that if I'm beginning my journey in financial planning, yes, I know that I'm going to have to go out and I'm going to have to win clients, and we'll touch on that in a minute when we talk about the training and development around that. But one of the things that's massively lacking in the financial planning profession are leads. And this is something Hoxton have invested heavily in, is their marketing and lead generation.
Yeah.
So this is something that if I was coming into a trainee role, I would want to kind of know that, say, 50% of my energy and efforts could be self-generated, but everyone needs a bit of a helping hand. Everybody needs a warm lead every now and then. Everyone needs to pick up the telephone and speak to somebody who's heard of the brand or they've shown an interest in the company, whether it be a pension or an investment or a protection policy, whatever it might well be. And this is something that we've nailed.
We still spend 7 figures a year on lead generation or prospect generation for our advisors, and the pathway, the pathway are a big benefactor of that. The key to becoming a good financial advisor is prospecting. It is how many people are you seeing a week and being able to impart the good advice that you know that you give onto. If you are not seeing enough good people a week, it becomes a real issue. Jacob works really heavily with Alan, who's our marketing director, on the making sure that the quality that we have come in. I mean, we have over 3,000 marketing leads inbound on a monthly basis across the different jurisdictions that we work, that we distribute out to our business development managers to call, to our pathway advisors to call. Now, again, I think it's important that people get warm leads, but like you said, you shouldn't just rely on that. What Jacob was fantastic of in his own career was developing out networked leads. So yes, we will give you some marketing leads, but what you're going to learn from is probably one of the best people I've ever seen doing it on how to go out and network. Because then if my marketing leads stop that I'm going to give you, you are able to go and do this yourself. So it's giving you the tools, not just to sit there and go, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't want to go and speak to that random person at a bar. That's not networking. Jacob's created golf societies. He's created whiskey societies. He's done a lot of things with things he enjoys to really boost his business. Marketing leads and getting warm leads, yes, we do. But I think over and above that, the real special sauce is being taught from the best people how to go and prospect.
I just want to bring something in here, is that me now being involved in Hoxton means that I can transfer my knowledge and my skills around developing business through which I call networking on steroids, which is LinkedIn. So social marketing, I'm experienced in podcasting. I've been doing it for over 4 years, right? I know exactly how to do it. I know how to get your personal brand up and running, how to pick and develop a niche, and how to become a key person of influence. And for me, I have, in recruitment, I trained a lot of people. Prior to that, I was working for Aviva. I was a trainer within financial services. I love helping people who want to do well. So when someone comes to me in that pathway and says, Sam, I've got an idea. This is what I want to do. I want to focus on footballers, or I want to focus on this, or I want to focus on that. And I'll say, no problem at all. We'll sit down and I will work out a personal brand strategy for that person. And what better place to do that at the beginning of your journey? Because networking takes time. It takes time to build a network. It's not a transactional process. So we want to kind of build in with those entrepreneurial type individuals, those thinkers, and say, look, this is tried and tested. Let's implement this from day one, and let's get you moving forward, whether that's networking online, networking face-to-face.
You just touched on that, Sam. Chris and yourself just talking about the marketing. Obviously, marketing is so important. Prospecting is so important. Networking is slow, but it doesn't mean you can't do it. And I will personally sit down. I've helped a lot of people build out networks. But if you think about it, you've got the marketing, you've got the networking, and then you've got your brand, your content. If you can do those three things and you can do them right, when you become you move through the pathway and you start giving advice yourself, you've got the brand, you've got the network, and you'll just flip straight into it. I mean, I built a golf society when I was in business development. I didn't get any business from it for probably 18 months. But then when I became an advisor, 85% of my business came from the golf society because I was 3.5 years into it. It's consistency. But it's having those different avenues, having the people. So you are, we've brought you into the business for a reason. You now can help people build content and build a brand. So we constantly evolve and give back to the people as well to help people train them and basically go forwards.
Fantastic.
That's really important as well, because I think, Jacob's saying there about giving back. The whole, it's not, we don't sit there and guarded like this, and the advisors in our business are saying, I'm not going to teach you, I'm not going to help you. And I don't want to sound like a big-headed or anything else like that, but I've built a £230 million book of business in 6 years pretty much, whilst building Hoxton Capital up. And I will teach you absolutely everything I know about how to go out and do that. That is what we do. And you can go and ask anyone who works for the business, and I will teach them my processes, how I develop business. Jacob, runs in excess of 50 million now. Jacob will teach you how to do that. And it shouldn't be we're not just talking about just AUM as a measure of success, but what we're talking about is these are people that have been there, done it, got the t-shirt, and are going to sit down with you. We're not someone that's sat in management for the past 10 years and hasn't given advice. In the past 6 years, that is what we have done personally.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly that. You haven't got a bunch of trainers in there that aren't actually going
they
out
haven't
there and
got a
doing the
clue.
job. Yeah.
And also, what you just said there, Chris, is absolutely right. I mean, when I joined Hoxton, I mean, I've known Chris a long time. When I joined Hoxton, we always do training conferences, and we do update conferences every year to give everyone basically 2 days of, what's happening in the business, where we're going and what we're doing. The first one I came to, Chris stood on stage and went through from the very beginning of how he prospects to how he does business to how he services his clients, word for word, pretty much.
Yeah.
And I was sat there going, he's telling everyone how he does really. And I spoke to Chris about it, and he said, well, if I can get everybody following my process and give back to them, they'll all become a success. And actually, it will make me better as well, because I'll learn from them, and we all learn from each other, right? We're not perfect, but we all learn off each other regularly.
And I think, again, within our profession, it's always been there's not a very nice mindset, which is because you're doing well means I'm not. That's not the case. I mean, being part of any good profession means there's so many people doing well that it just constantly raises the bar. And I feel like we have shifted that now, and we've got it. I mean, definitely at Hoxton we have, but I do feel like there's other businesses that are doing that now as well. So, it's super important to share and to make sure that we push everyone forward together.
And the reason why that is such a big thing, right, is that, again, over my 16 years, that was unheard of, really, in the international space. It was quite a selfish environment. It was like, I'm not going to share with you. I'm not going to tell you how to get ahead, which is why when you walked in, you were like, hang on, this is different. But like, to someone listening to this, it's like, well, that's common sense, isn't it? Everyone pulling together in the same direction is going to make everyone achieve a goal. It does make sense, obviously, but it's not been that way all the time in the international space. People are catching up. I've done my due diligence on the market. Hoxton are light years ahead of anybody else out there in respect of that. And it's proven in the pathway, and it's proven in the fact that you take people through on an employed basis. I mean, how many people are actually offering an employment? Now, let's just, before we push on now, right? Before we push on to the different stages of the pathway, we're going to break it down for the listener, just so they understand what the journey looks like, timescales, and then we'll finish on what their earning potential could be, because that's really, really important. Money is important to somebody, right, 100%. In their career. It gets played down too much, I think, and we should talk about earnings. You're doing a job to earn money to have a nice lifestyle, okay? But why is employment so important when it comes to being a trainee international financial planner?
It's the security that it provides you. Jake and I have both worked in commission-only, fee-only roles to start off with. And both Jake and I also feel that we would probably be working with a lot more people now had there been a bit of security. The old method was throw enough stuff at a wall and some of it will stick, which is true for a lot of professions, and I understand that. But what you detract from by doing that is real quality coming through. You touched on it before. Someone looking at it going, I'll become an investment because they're going to start me on 60, 70 grand a year. Now, we're not going to offer that straight away, so number one. But having that stability there and having enough to be able to have a nice place to live or a reasonable place to live, being able to go out for a few beers or a few glasses of wine at the weekend with your friends, being able to enjoy where you are and not constantly feel like you're suffering. You shouldn't be like, oh my God, brilliant, put my feet up. That's not what we're trying to get. To not have to worry about whether you have a piece of business coming in means that the quality of advice you give is better. It means that you can take your time and learn things properly rather than being rushed. It's this comfort blanket that's missed. Now, what we've flipped it on its head with is rather than get everyone in and go, we'll give them a go and see if it works. We only take people on now that are 100% right for the business. If they're 98% right, they're not coming in. Like, there's no more give this a go, because we're going to invest a lot of money in this person. We're going to pay them a salary. We're going to invest huge amounts of our time personally in this person. We're going to put them through their exams, all the stuff that goes with it. Like, we want a select few of people that are top of their game. And then we can take them through. We want to invest in their future. We want to investing in their future is investing in our business as well, because they are the future of our business. They are the future of our profession. No other industry, when I was an accountant, you didn't come in and go, right, unless you go and get a piece of audit work or piece of tax work, sorry, beans on toast, you've got to go and steal your dinner.
Yeah.
Like it just doesn't happen because people don't want to do that and they just get detracted away from it. So you lose such a good amount of quality people that could come through.
You're building a unit of people, right? You're building the pathway as a unit. The business development team is a unit. If you keep bringing more people in and you do that method of more, and more people leave, it's also not good for the unit. You want them to stay together. You want them to grow together. You want them all to be helping each other along and knowing if someone's, because people do have bad days, they have bad weeks, but they'll put their arm around each other and help each other because they become a unit. And that, by having a select few, that really helps. I mean, Chris just touched on that then. I wasn't great at business development, if I'm honest. When I first started, I came in completely green and I struggled. And fortunately, my wife was a teacher. Well, my partner then was a teacher. And luckily, we had somewhere to live. And I probably wouldn't be sat here today if I hadn't had her with me bringing in somewhere for us to live at those early days, because I didn't have that security. The security is not to, as Chris said, it's not to go, okay, well, you're fine, you don't have to do anything. It's just to take that pressure off and make it a smoother process and mean that we can hopefully take every single person that we want onto that pathway that works hard through the process, because they all develop at different times, right?
And it's exactly what the profession needs. You don't need loads of self-employed trainee roles. It's kind of mental. And you touched on it earlier, like accountancy, solicitors, they don't do it.
Investment banking.
Why is a profession like financial planning, which wants to be considered a profession, expecting people to come into a professional job, self-employed? Now, don't get me wrong, there are some people that can transition into self-employed, but you do need to have financial security. You need to take into account that the first 12 months is going to be tough. There's plenty of people who start self-employed, go straight in at financial planning, and they will always say on my podcast every single time, make sure you have enough in the bank to cover you for 12 to 24 months, because it isn't as easy as you think it's going to be. It's going to be tough. And I think the key thing here is, look, we all want it. We all want a little bit of security. But I also think as well, if we're going to go through a process of selection to get the best people come and work for Hoxton, we need to commit to those people. And the commitment is we're going to pay you a fair salary, that's going to make you work hard, because you don't want to earn the basic. You want to earn off the back of the recurring income that you are building, the new client relationships that you are generating. You don't get into financial planning just for the basic salary. Most people who get into financial planning, one, because they want to help clients. We get that, all right? But people want to earn some good money, right? They want to earn 100,000 plus. And why not? And you can totally earn 100,000 plus quite quickly within the financial planning profession if you have the right training, the right development, the right mentors around you. And that's super, super important. And we will get onto the salary side of things. We'll get onto that in a bit. I'll tell you what, let's now go straight into these stages then, okay? Because there are stages to the International Financial Planner Pathway Program here at Hoxton. So, Jacob, why don't you just give us an overview very briefly of stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, and stage 4, and then we'll hyper-focus on each stage.
Okay, brilliant. So, stage 1 basically starts in one of our offices in the UK. So, and that runs for 6 months in the UK. And we have a number of different people that run that initial stage. The gentleman that was Chris's business development and did all Chris's prospecting goes back to the UK, works with the guys, makes them accountable, trains them. Along that stage in the UK, we also do training. So we do all of the instructions to the company, what we're trying to achieve, and all of those sorts of things. At the end of 6 months, during that 6 month period, actually, they would then come over to Dubai as well. So come over and see Dubai, make sure that that's where they want to go in the future. At the end of that 6 months, then they will move across to Dubai, which essentially is what we would call stage 2. And stage 2 is where it really starts to ramp up around the advisory as well. So they get to sit in shadow meetings. They get, far more ingrained into the advice process. And that's stage 2. And that stage 2 generally is 18 months. Okay, and in that 18 months, they'll also do their qualifications. So we have a trainer that basically comes in and works with them and helps them through their qualification process. At the end of stage 2, obviously we move to stage 3, which is when you're fully qualified. You understand how to prospect, you understand the business, you understand how to deal with clients. Yep. And it's a seamless switch from basically into being a financial planner. Again, it's shadowed. We sit meetings with them. We help the advisors. We mentor them. And then throughout stage 3, really, you're learning the advice process on the job with clients and prospects. And then I suppose you move to stage 4, which is when you start to really... You're building assets under management, right? You've proven you can do it. You're successful. And then maybe you're looking to add people into your personal business. You may need a paraplanner to help you with the service of your clients. So that's stage 4. And then I suppose, Chris, you've mapped out stage 5 and onwards. Where do we go with stage 5?
Yeah, stage 5 is really you probably building out more, working for yourself within our business more. You take on more responsibility, you take on more ownership of what you're doing. You hit the nail on the head with the mentorship. But, the mentorship is also having your advice checked. It's also, having someone to speak to about, is this the right thing that I should be saying? We don't just kind of go, right, go and see a load of clients and come back and we expect you to do business. We're helping them prospect, giving them the next kind of bit of freedom, which is, go out and start speaking to people, start doing fact finds. Then let's bring those fact finds back in. Let's go through the fact finds and highlight opportunities where you can make the clients' lives better. And ways that we can structure things around that. So step 5 is really the next one. You're kind of, well, look, you've done a fantastic job. We're comfortable that the advice you're giving is great. That being said, everyone's advice in the business is pre-sale checked as well. But you're kind of given more of a rein to run it how you would see fit. To stage 6, which is really the final stage, which is you've got paraplanners working underneath you. You might have 2 or 3 business development people working with you as well. You've got administrators, PAs, operational people working within your business to help efficiencies there too. It's super exciting. And then 7, exit.
What's different about this and what I'm picking up on, is that we do, as a business, really do focus on the bit which I think is missing in a lot of academies and a lot of trainee routes, right? There's always been a big emphasis on get your qualifications, get technically knowledgeable. Qualifications are massively important. Technical knowledge is massively important, but we have an amazing compliance team, right? We've got a brilliant compliance team supporting absolutely everybody, and we ensure that everybody and the advice that they're giving is technically correct. We invest in qualification training. But what a lot of companies fail to do, and again, I think it's because they're smaller businesses, business manager owned, they haven't got time to actually teach somebody how to sell yourself. How to win clients, how to prospect people. There's never really been an emphasis on that side of it. It's always been kind of pushed to one side. And what you've then got is loads of people in the financial planning business, heavily qualified, but don't know how to win clients, right? So one of the things that I'm definitely picking up on here with the pathway is that there is a hyper focus on that. It's like, look, we're going to get you up and running. We're going to smash through any confidence barriers that you might have. We're going to build up on your relationship building skills, how to present, how to network, how to develop business. We're going to teach you how to fish. Right? We're not going to give you a fish. We're going to teach you how to fish. And that is hugely important, which then is underpinned by the ongoing mentorship and training and development. And what I love about the stages is someone can go through that stage as quickly as they want to go through that stage, because you can lead a horse to water, you can't make it drink. At the end of the day, it's down to that person about how much energy, how much time, what their mindset is. Are they focused on getting to different stages? It's not about the speed of doing it. It's, are you doing it the right way and are you getting the results? It's very easy for us as a business to identify if someone isn't getting the right results. And therefore, it's easy for us to then deliver the training and the mentorship and the support they require to get them over that hurdle. Because we hyper-focus on every single little bit within those phases. And that's important.
Is bringing it out, isn't it? Because it's funny when you talk of these things, like we just see it as natural, but when you start talking of these things, you actually realise, shit, it is like that. So it's a stage rather than a term. So to me, a term is a specific time frame. Like at school, you have term 1, term 2, term 3. Whereas what we're doing is stages, and stages, you can ramp through a stage really quickly, or you can take that extra bit of time if you're not quite ready. And that's the other thing. It's not like, just because we say it should be done in 24 months, it could take you 3 years. But if we think that you are good enough, we're going to invest in that extra year to make sure that you're okay. But likewise, we've got someone in the UK at the moment, qualified advisor already. He's come in, he's done really well, and he is itching to get going. And I mean, we're to the point, we're like, come on, just trust the process a little bit. But he will be at stage 3 in 9 months, which, we're not sitting there holding him back and going, no, you must do it this way. We appreciate not everyone is the same, and we want people coming in at different levels.
I think on that, Chris, I think a real key thing there is sometimes we do have to say, well, are you sure? We're not, you're pushing to go forward into the next stage. And we will look at where they are. Okay, let's go away. Let's do a business plan together. Let's see if you really are ready. And some people have gone, do you know what, actually, can I do another 3 months at this stage just so we can get it right? Because rushing isn't the way either. Sometimes people, I've seen this, internationally, I have definitely seen this. People have rushed and disappeared because they've gone too quick and they've not got it right. And there's no point in advancing to the next stage without getting the first stage right. And you can go through them quickly, but we'll do it together. And we're good at spotting that. We're really, really good at helping with that.
I think that's the importance as well of employed over self-employed. Because with an employed role, we can, you're employed by us and can sit there and tell you whether you're ready or not. So if we really think that you are not ready, it's our decision. And we want, what people need to realise is we won't do it to be difficult. We're doing it because we've invested in you and we aren't 100% sure. So, it might be a couple of months. We say, just wait, just do this, this and this. And then you can progress. We are making the investment in this person and we want what's best for them. We want them to succeed. It's not like, if you do succeed or if you don't, it doesn't really matter to us. Like, we are invested in you.
Interestingly, another reason why Hoxton for me was different from the rest is your retention. I mean, you retain staff that have gone through the pathway. The attrition is low. It's good. So talk to me a little bit about that. Why do you think people are staying?
I suppose, I can talk about that. Because we are always trying to be market, we are trying to be market leading. We're always investing back into something somewhere, whether it's tech, whether it's yourself, whether it's new licenses, new offices, training. You touched on that. The time, the value in, we obviously pay a salary to the guys that are going in the pathway, right? But we also give up hours and hours of top people's time to train them and nurture them. Why would you leave? And if we have had people over time that have come to us and said, well, do you know what? I'd really like to look at going to this jurisdiction. Something I do in my one-to-ones when I sit with advisors is I ask them, what are your long-term plans? What are your goals? Do you see yourself in Dubai or do you see yourself in the US potentially? Interestingly, Chris and I spoke with an advisor recently, and only off the back of me asking him, he said, well, actually, I am quite keen to look at the US, and now we may send him over to the US for a month to go and have a look at it. If I hadn't known that, and he didn't think he could because we hadn't told him, that would mean he would go looking elsewhere to go to the US, right? So I personally invest a lot of time in people.
Yeah,
I'm really big on getting to know the people, because once you know the people, you know what drives them, and you know when they're up, when they're down, and you can see where they're going. So it's a relationship again, right?
It's the time, I think you said there as well. Like, Jacob invests a lot of time in people. He makes time, probably too much sometimes, I would say. But that's probably not that. That's what makes him him. That's why he's so good. But very rarely will you have senior managers where you can go and sit down with them and have a chat. They're actually interested in what you're doing and how you're doing it. It's not right, I've got 2 minutes, let's go quick now and, walk with me while I'm walking to my car. Like, Jacob spends half an hour, 45 minutes monthly with most of the advisors in the office, junior and senior, understanding where they are. Tommy does the same with the pathway guys. JJ will do the same with the guys in the UK. I still speak, obviously with advisors and understanding as well. So, it's that. The ability to be able to pick people's brains is massive.
Stage 1, right? I'm going to pick up on something here, and that's the fact that they're in the UK. And they're probably in the UK for how long? 6 months?
6 months.
Right. Why? Why is that so important to us that they're in the UK for 6 months?
Well, let's talk about Joseph that joined us last year, who is in Dubai now. 21 years old, just come out of university, starting in a new profession, and he's quite daunting going into an office, straight out of uni, never had a job before apart from, I think it was I want to say Costa or something along those lines. But I really, when I interviewed Joe, he was so enthused by it, right? Doing it in the UK, he drove from home, yeah? He was still at home with his parents. He was still, so new profession, could go home, speak to his parents, could had someone there for him to help him out. It wasn't too different. New profession, new country, nowhere to live, no car, no visa, coming over with and having to do all of these new things at once can be quite overwhelming. If they do 6 months in the UK, it's like a stepping stone. They come over and see Dubai. He might have come to Dubai and go, I don't like it, which can happen and which is fine, but it's about easing people in and not just being like a baptism of fire of going, right, you've got to find somewhere to live, you've got to do this job. It's a lot to take on in one hit. It also allows people to be in the UK and, just progress in the way that they want to, right? They can work from an office in the UK and then move abroad. Definitely.
I think it's like Jacob. Jacob's. I've not got too much more to add on that. He's done a good job there, mate. It's the stepping stone, isn't it? Like it's that comfort, the familiarity, the getting yourself ingrained, and it not being too much of a jolt to the system. There's a lot to figure out when you land.
I like it. I like the fact you're thinking about the risk.
Yeah.
Let's not beat around the bush as well. Recruitment is costly, okay? It's a risk to the individual and it's a risk to us as a business. We don't want to be bringing people over from day one. There's a huge outlay, there's a huge cost, and there's too many risks involved. And the aim of the game is to lower those risks, make it as comfortable as possible, because it's good for their well-being as well. If you give them the right landing strip, you give them the right entry point, the right support in the UK, as you said, brand new profession, chuck them into bloody somewhere like Dubai. It's too much. It's far, far too much. So it's much better that they spend that time in the UK. Historically, it used to be like, right, get you on a plane, get you out here, and let's see if it sticks or not.
Off you go.
By the time they get here, though, if they're working in the UK, they know they've had training sessions with most of the key people. Mm-hmm. They've met half of the advisors because they're working closely with them. They walk in the Dubai office, they're almost like a part of the furniture before they've even moved here. It's crazy, and everyone's like, oh, great, Joe's over next week, and straight in, had friendships already. Really good.
I think it's also important to touch on actually, because maybe, I suppose I'm just kind of like replaying what we said back to ourselves as well, but we're just like, right, you've kind of got your feet now, drop into Dubai. But that's not the case. So Jake touched on it before. We bring them over for 2 weeks during that 6 months. So they have been in the office and seen it. So that they get a taste for it. We put them up for the 2 weeks in a hotel, accommodation, all of that stuff covered. Take them out as well when they're here, get to meet senior people and things like that. At the end of the 6 months, when they do come over again, we give them another 2 weeks. I think it is in accommodation when they land. Obviously, we help arrange flights and things like that to bring them over. We help them with their visas. That we obviously don't help them. We get their visas. We get their medical. We help them find accommodation. As in, you will be buddied up with someone that will help you with that, rather than, Jake did it with you when you moved over. Yeah. The purpose of that is that there is a lot to know, and what we don't want is you coming over and feeling so overwhelmed that you focus on that part rather than on what you're meant to be doing. We want to integrate you selfishly from a business perspective as quick as possible, but also from their perspective, the mental health side of that. It's a lot less scrambled. Your initial impressions of Dubai or where you're moving to are much. It's a much better experience. You're happy.
Yeah. Do you know what I love about it as well? And this is me thinking it from a kind of incentive perspective. Is that if I'm in the UK and I start in the UK and I've got, let's say, 6 months to prove myself, and I want to get my head down, I want to work really hard, because there is a reward at the end of stage one, and that reward is I'm going to be living in Dubai, I'm going to be going out there, and I'm going to be doing the job in Dubai. That should, for anybody that really wants to progress through the stages, should be a huge early kind of exciting incentive. It's a reward, and for me, I'd be like hyper focused on that. If I'm thinking to myself, man, I'm going over there, brilliant. So that's a real big one for me as well. And I think people will like that because it's kind of almost something, it's like an accelerator. It wants you want to do well. And the chap that you were talking about earlier is itching, he really wants to get out of chomping at the bit. I just want to make sure that, look, we are going to be rather selective on the types of individuals that we want, okay? We don't have 100 trainee roles, okay? Far from it. We want a smaller selection of the right people coming through. So if anyone's listening to this right now and they're thinking, I wonder if I'm that person, let's just make it a little bit easier for them just to kind of tick those boxes. What do you think of just, and everybody's different, right? And we do lots of different tests and we do lots of training and all of that kind of stuff. And there's an interview process, of course, right? But what are the kind of key traits that we're looking for from somebody to come in as a trainee international financial planner here at Hoxton?
Number one, we do take people from all walks of life and all levels of experience, I suppose, into that. Or all ages. Number one, you do have to be able to study and pass exams. If you really struggle with that, then it's probably not the profession for you. That's because it is important that we do cover that, because you will struggle if you've never passed an exam in your life, because you do have to pass them to be qualified. So we do look for people who are clearly intelligent. That doesn't mean you have to have gone to Oxford or Cambridge. It just means that you have to be able to study and pass an exam. Number two, what we're looking for is discipline. Like we said, you have to be disciplined and you have to show us that you can turn up day in, day out, 5 days a week, making sure that you are moving forward. Discipline is key. Grit, that perseverance is a massive factor as well. I know Nigel from De Vere bangs on about this a lot, but being gritty is really, really important, because not every day, as Jake will tell you, is sunshine and roses. Things do go your way, things don't go your way. People that you thought would become clients don't become clients. You've got to get used to a lot of no's to get close to yeses. So having that grit and perseverance and not wilting the first time someone says no, or what you want about, or doesn't want to take your advice is, and also the hardships of, it's not easy. You said in those self-employed roles, 12 to 24 months can take you to get up and running. You have to be able to persevere during that time. Self-belief and positivity is another thing that we're looking for. Neggy people don't do well. If you're looking for the negatives in everything and you're super skeptical about absolutely everything, then you might do okay as a financial advisor maybe, but you won't be doing okay with us. We want positive people. We want to be around people that believe in themselves, believe in what we're doing, and are pushing things forward, aren't constantly looking for what's going on here then, or, like the kind of, and trying to be unnecessarily negative about things. And the last one, which we touched on previously, was listening. Like, you need to be able to use these. Stop using this, use these, and take it in and action it.
Yeah.
It's great listening. It's great saying that you want to listen and that you are listening. But if you're constantly going in one ear out the other and not taking on what we say, we see it with pretty much every cohort of trainee wealth managers. We're getting better at spotting it now, aren't we, Jake? But we do see a lot of people that give you lip service, and that doesn't work. Like we said, we've all built successful businesses. We're going to tell you what works and what doesn't. Learn from our mistakes. Don't try and make them yourself. So they're the traits. You got anything to add on that?
That listening one is key, right? Because I've had it. I sit with people and I'll say something to them like, "This is what you need to do," and I can see them looking at me going, "No,
You're wrong.
You're wrong. You're wrong." And I'm looking there, and you can see them going, "No, I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced about that." We're not saying it because we want to make you go through hoops to go thing. We're saying it because we know it works, right? Chris has built one of the most successful businesses I've seen, and there's times where I looked at Chris when he told me to do things and gone, "No." We were talking about LinkedIn earlier today, and not everyone is always right. But if somebody is doing really well and wants to give you time and give you direction and tell you this will work, get out and do it, then listen and do it. Don't get me wrong, there are times that people do things a different way and it works, but you need to do both. You can't just go off on your own route. You've got to follow the process, and that's really, really important.
No, and I think also what people should really understand is in the international space, in the UK, there's a hell of a lot more people there that are in the UK that are aware of or open to financial advice. And even there, it's tough, right? It's not easy being a financial planner in the UK. You still got to try to explain to somebody benefits of financial planning, right?
Definitely.
You still got to go out and win clients. You still got to network. Over here, there are less clients to work with. Although we're international, there are less clients to deal with. So is that right? Fair to say? Is it more competitive? So do you have to be a more competitive nature, do you think?
I wouldn't say competitive. I think what I would say is that in the UK, there's a high likelihood that your next door neighbour or someone that in your road could become a client. There's a certain type of demographic that we would typically work and help and that want our advice here. You normally want to try and work with people that are like yourself. And in England, a lot of people are English, number one. A lot of people speak the same language. A lot of people, same profession, same schooling. There's a lot of similarities. In such a multicultural place as Dubai, there's so many different cultures, there's so many different ways of doing things that actually the subset of people that are like you are much, much smaller. So the subset of people that we work with tend to be like us. They tend to be from the UK or people from the US or Europe, tend to be at a certain level of their career, and automatically you're just doing this duff. And that doesn't mean that other people don't need financial advice. That's not what I'm trying to say, but it's the people that would want to work with us and the kind of brand that we've built. So it is harder, and the prospecting is the number one point of failure, that it will not work and that people struggle with when you become a international financial advisor. And, I'm just going to say it out here. I know for a fact the guys at St. James's Place is really struggling. They've come to Dubai. It's different. It's not the same as in the UK, and you have to adjust the way that you do things.
Which, again, I'm going to bang on about it. Marketing, lead generation, technology, years of experience of working out in the international space. Everything is in place at Hoxton that I've seen that makes the job not easier. It makes the job more efficient. Okay, it gives you more opportunities, and you're in front of more people talking about financial planning than it would be if you were out here sat in your bloody bedroom making phone calls thinking, where the hell do I start here? So everything's in place to support that individual, and that's the good news, and that is a big differentiator, I think, between us and other companies.
Yeah.
Now, let's get on to earning potential, okay? So you come in as a trainee financial planner on the pathway. Let's just go through, say, some years here, and let's give somebody a realistic expectation, okay? And we're going to take these figures based on the average earnings of somebody within our business. So we're not over-egging it, because the last thing we want to do is over-promise, under-deliver. We want to be completely and utterly realistic and give the opportunity for somebody to improve upon it, which plenty of people do within our business, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go through that then, Chris.
And you would hope year on year that it does. Realistically, if you're earning the same now as you were 5 years ago, probably not for you.
Yeah.
What we've based it on is the salary. There's obviously a salary element, a fixed element to this. And then there is also based on the kind of minimum targets or minimum. So there's obviously a salary element that's based to this. And then the expectations that we would have, or, in our experience, the levels of fees that they would be, as a business development, the advisor that you'd be working with would generate. And then obviously when you go and do it yourself, what we'd expect really in the first year. Because, let's have the awkward conversation. Earning is important. As financial advisors, we've constantly been, God, you shouldn't be talking about that. You shouldn't. But I know financial advisors that earn £1 million plus a year. They're some of the best advisors in the profession. They do amazingly great jobs for their clients. They provide huge value, and they get remunerated for it. It's not many professions you can earn £1 million a year. I'm not saying that that will happen to everyone. Clearly, like any profession, that's the top people. But you can get to that. There's nothing stopping you. The only thing stopping you is yourself, and I genuinely believe that. But anyway, I'll get off my high horse. So on year one, £34,000 is what we would expect you to earn, of which 70% of that roughly is salary. Year two, we would expect £46,500. Year three, £54,000 roughly. That was year three. Yeah. Year four, £67,500. So that would be when you step up junior advisor, you're starting to see clients. Year five, £93,600, roughly what we said. And then year six, we anticipate it will be in the region of £120,000 a year. So in 6 years, training, development, everything, we anticipate that you could be well on your way to £120,000. So if you came to us when you were 20, by the time you were 26, you could be in a job that's paying you £120,000 a year. If you listen, if you dedicate yourself to it, and if you make sure that you are doing the right things for your clients and making sure that you're building up a good, a good name and a good reputation for yourself. Because the surest way to kill all of those earnings is to start being a charlatan, is to start mis-selling, is to start getting a really bad reputation. Because what we all know is it take you 20 plus years to build up your reputation. It's gone overnight if you start messing around. So you need to take that seriously. This is all, these are what we genuinely expect people to earn of good character.
Yeah, I love it. There isn't many professions, is there, where you can get in 6 years, you can earn over £100,000.
I mean, doctors don't even bloody earn over 100.
Yeah.
Crazy. 5 years at medical school, whatever it is.
Yeah.
There's not many professions where you're given the tools to go out and do it, but it's down to you to further it as well. There are people that will work harder, longer, weekends. You can continue. You can keep working and working and working. You can grow, and build your own business.
That's it. It's uncapped. I mean, it is literally uncapped. Sky is the absolute limit.
Yeah, you get out of it what you put into it. And another thing is just what I want people to understand is that, yes, there are hours that you will work, and you touched on it, but some of the most successful people, the thing which separates the person who's doing £200,000 of earnings at year 6 is that they put in more time, energy, and effort. They take more opportunities when they come their way. They have more conversations. They market themselves better. They go to that extra networking event. It's not going to fall on your lap. You've got to go and get it. Nothing comes to you. You have to go and get it. And there are people in that business. And let's just talk about it, because that's what the figures that we've sort of said there are safe figures, right? We want to give people realistic kind of levels that we expect somebody really to be achieving.
Yeah.
However, there are people that overachieve.
Yeah.
Now, if someone's overachieving, have you got any examples of what someone might be doing around that sort of 6-year period, do you think?
Based off his figures, quick math in the back of my head, within his 7th year of working with us, he will net take home to him this year. And this is because he works 6 days a week. He has listened to absolutely everything we've done. He has been a business development manager and perfected prospecting, and then he's also perfected being able to impart good quality advice on clients that want it. He will net £300,000 to him this year.
But on that also...
Under 30.
That's incredible.
He's devoted. Let's rewind a little bit. He's devoted himself to this. And when I mean devoted, I mean there is no break. He is on it from the moment he wakes up to the moment he goes to bed.
He's obsessed.
Obsessed. Yeah. But why shouldn't he be rewarded for that?
Yeah, I agree.
Why should someone say to you that, nah, I'm going to keep that? But that's surely the biggest blocker to people wanting to do well, to people trying to push themselves harder. You want those doors open. You want people to be able to go, I want to do really well.
Yeah.
If they want to do it.
And there's no shame in that, right?
No shame.
There's no shame in that. Why has there been this big old thing about you can't earn more than you should? And especially in the financial, well, if he's earning that much money, he must be just a salesperson. No, it's because he's probably working 100 hours a week and he's obsessed with it. He breathes it night and day.
And if he's not giving good quality advice, people won't take him up on it.
No,
people aren't stupid.
No.
So we get this kind of mis-selling stuff and everything. And I do get that, with the way that the business used to work in the past, or the profession used to work in the past. It probably wasn't a profession then, it was probably more an industry, wasn't it, Jake?
Yeah.
But it was go out, do a big deal, go on to the next deal, go on to the next deal. You were transactional. Now, a lot of that £300,000, over 50% of it, is generated from ongoing revenue. Now, if you're not doing a good job for your clients, what happens? Goes. You won't have that ongoing revenue. So you need to continue doing a great job for your clients. You can't have just, sold them a load of crap. It's not going to work. So, I'm really excited for him. I think I know he's already doing amazingly well, and he's going to do super well going forward. But that's the North Star.
Yeah.
They continue to grow, but also, as you talk about reoccurring income, right? They're building up an assets under management base that they're managing, but we have all of the systems in place to help service them. We have the technology. We know when clients need annual reviews. We know when clients need to be sat down, rebalanced, all using the technology we have available. So we also know that he's doing a great job of that as well, because we have an overview of that.
Yeah.
So we know all his clients have been serviced. We know that everything is compliant. It's a fantastic business for him.
And we also know that it's not just about investments anymore. We all know that financial planning is cash flow planning, tax planning, insurance planning, education planning, retirement planning, all these other bits. Like we all get that, and that's the value that you need to add over the longer run. And they're the tools that we're developing. Wealth Flow helps you plan out your retirement, helps you with your education planning. We've got an in-house tax team to help with the tax planning piece. We've got Matt, who's leads our technical team, who's a director at a pensions company. Like there's all these people there to help you provide that advice and make sure that your clients are getting the advice that they need and they want.
Let's talk about that glass ceiling, okay? Because I've often come across financial planners who hit a bit of a glass ceiling. So they've got huge ambition, they want to grow, but they struggle to get past a point where they're seeing too many clients, they've got too many clients, but they can't break through, okay? As a business, Hoxton, are we there to support those types of individuals as much as the financial planner who just wants to be a lifestyle planner, wants to enjoy their life, earn good money, do it for themselves? The entrepreneur, as I like to call it, that person who might actually leave the business one day to set their own company up. Do we actually look after those types of people? Do we actually kind of build a business around them? Do we support them to actually take it to the next level without the feeling that they have to leave to do it?
Yeah, I think we do, and I think ultimately that's what we geared up the business for initially. Let's kind of take it for what it is. A lot of people try and or feel like they have to go and set up a business. They feel like that's the next step. And actually, if you want to run a business, which actually not a lot of financial planners do by the same token, but they feel that that's the next step. If they want to go and run a business, then yes, go and set up your own business. But actually, the worst thing that you can do as a financial planner is go and set up a business if you just want to be more entrepreneurial in the fact that you want to build out a team. Because what happens is then that you get lumbered with the compliance, you get lumbered with the admin, you get lumbered with the finance, you get lumbered with the marketing, all the things that are detracting away from you doing what you love, which is financial advice. And this is what you and I speak to a lot of financial advisors a week. That's what we're seeing more and more and more of now.
Yeah.
When I started Hoxton, I wanted to create a place for financial advisors to be able to develop their business underneath us without having to leave, to give them an exit, and also to be able to, provide this kind of framework. Paraplanners, admin, having all the compliance taken care of, knowing that you haven't got to worry about a regulatory review or anything. We'll take care of all that. You might take a little bit less of a percentage, but actually, what would you rather have, 100% of one or, 80% of 1,000?
Worth noting as well, it's hard. So if you come into a business, and you think that you're going to go off and set up your own international financial advice business, it's hard. You guys have tried and tested it. You've done it. If you can build an ecosystem around that individual that supports them to get to the level that they actually want to get to, and it scratches that entrepreneurial itch that they might well have, we are constantly evolving the support around them, the investment in marketing, the investment in technology. When all of a sudden you step away and you think, I want this for myself, you have to really question, do you really want it? Be careful what you wish for, because when it actually comes, it's a hell of a lot more painful than you think it is. The idea, this vision, this look in your head of like, I'm the man at the top. It's stressful running a business,
There's no Jake to go and put your head on his shoulder and go, give me a cuddle. That's it.
Something I really focus on with that, and Chris did it with me and opened my eyes really. When Chris came to me and said, you need to get another paraplanner to work with you, I was like, no, I don't. He's like, you're taking on clients, you're growing, you think you need it now, because in 3 months' time, you're going to be running out of time. So you can build that business in our business, but we'll also help you recognize when you need to. So, you go out and you take on all these clients really quickly, and then suddenly you've got to start looking after them and you've got to start servicing them. I regularly say to people, like, listen, I think you should be getting a paraplanner. I think you need to be looking at someone to help you service. And they're looking at me going, but I've done it with people, and it's allowed them to continue growing rather than hit it and go, oh God, I can't do any more at the moment because I've got no time. And that's what Chris has done a great job with a lot of the guys, and now I'm imparting that on the guys within the thing as well. So it's building a business in a business, but also having somebody that's made the mistakes before guide you through it.
Yeah. It's that mentorship that you talked about before, Sam.
Yeah.
It's the fact that you've got someone who's been and developed it, and he's sitting there saying, whoa. Normally you'd have to pay. Well, I have coaches and trainers and stuff. Someone coaching me on Hoxton at the moment, he's charging me 10 grand a session. I mean, that's not insubstantial amounts of money. So, if you want those people in your business and be able to speak with, it's part of it.
Yeah, perfect. Well, listen, we've covered a lot on this episode today, and I think it's a good episode that really digs deep on our pathway program to becoming an international financial planner. I'm really looking forward to when we also roll this out in the UK, so stay tuned. If you're looking to become a financial planner in the UK, you don't want to go international, but you want to have international access, that's going to be coming out very, very soon. We've taken on Jonathan J in the UK. He's the head of financial planning, and he's as passionate as we are about taking on the next generation of financial planners and really ramping up and building out our UK presence. But that's coming soon. So if you're interested in joining Hoxton as an international financial planner and you want to be considered for our pathway, after listening to this podcast, reach out to myself, reach out to Chris, reach out to Jacob, or go to our webpage where you can apply to come on the pathway and start your international financial planning career at Hoxton. Thank you so much, guys. And thank you to everyone for listening.